Hello, I'm Sara Benwell, the digital editor of Engaged Investor and Pensions Insight magazines. I'm joined today by Sarah Smart, Chair of the Pensions Trust, to discuss the ongoing governance challenges of 21st century trustee boards. Hello, Sarah. So to start with, can you just tell me a little bit about how the Pensions Trust is governed?
So at the top level, the Pensions Trust is governed by a trustee board. That board is made up of an equal number of representatives chosen from our employers and from our members. And then we also bring co-opted experts onto the board, and I'm one of those people. So the trustee board is responsible for all of the core decisions, the core trustee work, but we delegate a lot of the day-to-day work around administration, investment, sort of scheme funding to the team that we have, the dedicated experts that we have in Leeds and London. There's about 160 staff spread across Leeds and London. The members of the trustee board sit on committees, so investment committee, audit committee, that help those teams look at what's going on in detail on a day-to-day basis. But at its essence, at the top level, the trustee board is responsible for the overall stewardship of the organisation and to ensure that everything we do is done for the best interests of the members.
And you've mentioned some of the different roles involved. Can you talk to me about how they interact?
In essence, we all have the same role, which is to act in the best interests of all of the members and to run the trust accordingly. But clearly we all, separate members, bring different levels of expertise. So I'm there as a co-opted chair to bring knowledge of the pensions industry, investment industry, and to lead the board and guide them in the decisions that they make. We also have individuals who chair our investment committee, chair our audit committee, and they bring different levels of expertise in those areas as well. And as I said, the members of the board are drawn from the members of the trust and from the employers of the trust. But what's interesting actually is I often struggle to remember which members of the board are drawn from which constituency, because people really do, when they get into the boardroom at the trust, leave behind those views of where they've come from, and everyone really works together to act in the best interest of the members. And I think the key thing for everyone there and the role that we have is to, whether we are sitting around the board table or sitting in an investment committee meeting, is to make sure that we understand the issues that are in front of us, get the best advice where we need to, challenge that advice, make sure we listen to a diversity of views, and then reach really good, well-considered decisions that are in the best interest of the members.
And what about your role, the role of the chair? What does that really mean in the 21st century?
Well, I always say that my job is to be dispensable, and that it shouldn't matter if I fall under a bus. Not that I have any plans of not crossing the road without looking in the near future. So really the role of the chair, I think, is to put together a great team. And that's both a great team on the trustee board and also a great team of experts within the business in Leeds and London who do all the day-to-day work. And then my job is to lead the board in making the good strategic decisions that define how the trust is run and how the trust moves forward into the future. So that can be on a variety of things, from what we may be offering to members in terms of post-retirement solutions for them, to more day-to-day administration things like whether we should be charging those employers who don't pay their contributions on time. And in terms of my role in making sure that we as a board make good decisions, my job is to make sure we have a diversity of views, to make sure we listen to those views and listen to good advice and get good advice in the areas that we need to, in a format that everybody can understand. And I think perhaps most importantly, to make sure that we concentrate our limited governance time on the things that are really going to add value, the strategic things that the board should be looking at, and not the day-to-day detailed stuff that is better done by our expert teams.
As a master trust, you represent a whole load of different employers and indeed members. How do you make sure that every single member's voice is heard? So
the way the trust model works is we've got a collection of employers, both on the DB side and the DC side, that sit under the umbrella of the trust. And that obviously means we've got not only hundreds of thousands of members actually, but thousands of employers as well. And that brings, obviously, economies of scale and means we can do things very efficiently with the right experts. But it does mean communication and listening to all of those voices is more of a challenge. But it is very important to us. So, I mean, there's a number of ways that we've looked at doing it and a number of ways we can do it. There are some people who are big fans of holding AGMs, as a big sort of single meeting every year to which members are invited. Now, personally, I'm not a fan of that because I think it's difficult for people to find the time, it's costly for them to get there, and often you only get a few dominant voices in the discussion. For a couple of years, we've had webinars whereby we've given members and employers the opportunity to send in questions in advance and questions on the day, and we've answered them in front of a live audience as recorded at the time. And that's worked really well for us in terms of engaging people. We've had hundreds of people listening, and obviously they can do that at the time, at the comfort of their own desk, or at whatever time they choose. But that has its restrictions as well, and so we're going a step further now and this is the start of that sort of ask the trustee, and giving members and employers the ability to watch video in their own time and to continually ask questions of us, which will then get a personalised response, and also for others to be able to see the answers to all of those questions at whatever time they choose.
So how important are communications and engagement really?
So I think there's two parts to that question, communication and member engagement. And communication, to my mind, is both talking and listening. We often stress the talking part at the expense of listening, but I think if you don't do both parts equally, then you really don't get proper engagement. And we set a lot of store at the Trust about really getting that communication right with our members so we get that engagement, and things like this is all part and parcel of that. I've said a lot before about the role of the trustee is to act in the best interest of the members. And that's not necessarily the same as doing what members want. And so it's very important to us to explain to our members and employers the decisions that we're taking and why we're taking them, particularly if they might look like they're not the things that the members might immediately say that they want. But it's also really important for us to understand exactly what our members and our employers do expect of us. The Trust has been going for 70 years. It's a constantly evolving organisation, and our members and employers' expectations of us constantly evolve. And it's important for us to seek feedback and understand exactly what good value means for them, what good outcomes mean for them, so that we can continue to evolve and make sure that we continue to make membership worthwhile.
So your new Ask a Trustee initiative sounds really, really interesting. Is there anything else that you're currently doing or planning to do to better engage your members?
Yeah, there's a number of other things that we do actually. These include some roundtable meetings that we do with employers on a regular basis. So me and Mike, the Chief Executive, meet with a small group of employers to understand what their concerns are and how we can better work with them to deliver what our members need. I also meet on a regular basis with our Head of Responsible Investment to talk to members about their concerns on our investment and how we invest responsibly, and can make sure we continue to do that in the future. And we do a number of surveys as well to seek views from members on a number of things. So we've done surveys on understanding what members might want to do with their pension money in the future to inform our decision making on pensions freedoms and what solutions we might need to make available to members, and in other areas like responsible investing and things like that. So I would really encourage all members and employers to engage with all the different methods of communication and discussion that we have. And another thing that I would ask members and employers to consider very seriously is when you get that letter through the doorstep, on the doorstep asking if you want to put yourself forward to be a trustee of the Pensions Trust, to really seriously consider actually whether you have the time to do that, because we're really keen to make sure we get engaged and inform people sitting on our trustee board and helping us understand what the issues are that members and employers are interested about and want us to engage with them on. And so we'd like everyone to really consider joining the trustee board.
And finally, looking forward, what challenges does the future hold?
Well, I think some of the core challenges for the Trust, as they are for every pension scheme, centre around increasing regulation. There's been a lot of regulation recently, and I don't see the pace of change in that area slowing down anytime soon. The continuing difficult economic environment, which creates obviously problems for some of our sponsors and also makes investment a more challenging area. And also, of course, the whole area of pensions freedoms, the options that members have in terms of actually where they save, whether it be in a pension or something else, and then what they do with their pension pot when they hit retirement. So all of those things make it a much more complex environment for us to operate in. And so our challenges at the Trust are to make sure that we continue to invest in our services to deliver excellent solutions for our members and for our employers, and to make sure that we deliver over the next 70 years the services that our members expect and have come to expect over the last 70 years, and that we continue to make membership worthwhile.
Thank you very much, Sara.